last year 4 billion people took plane trips, and transmission of any serious illness on board is very rare. Of course, in any public place where you're close to other people, there's always some risk, and it must be slightly heightened during this outbreak.
Step by step, what can you do to protect yourself while flying?
Well, first, let's think about how this illness spreads. So it's a respiratory virus, and we know from all of the work with the WHO that there are two main ways that it spreads. But first of all, you need to be up close to somebody who's sick at the time. And then the two mechanisms come into play. So one is droplet spread. So that means the person coughs on you or breathes on you, and you're up close and get that directly to your respiratory system. The second method is that the person has coughed or sneezed into their hands and they touch a surface which you then touch soon after. And then you touch your own face and transfer the viruses in that manner. Or they touch you directly. And of course the example of that is shaking hands. That leads on to how you protect yourself, which a lot of that is about hand hygiene. So it's meticulously washing your hands when you've had contact with other people or with new surfaces. It's also trying desperately to avoid touching your own face, which we tend to do many, many times during the day. And also, if you cough or sneeze yourself, to do so into your sleeve or into a tissue, which then you dispose of, and then wash or sanitize your hands. Washing hands is the best, but alcohol-based sanitizer is a good second best.
So it's up to the individual to take care of their own personal hand hygiene. But what technology does an aircraft have to keep the air clean?
First of all, let's talk about the air supply. So modern jet airliners all have a very high airflow rate, much higher than any other public place. So there's 20 or 30 air changes per hour compared with, say, 2 or 3 in a typical air-conditioned building. That air is about 50% fresh air from outside, and the other 50% goes through HEPA filters, high-efficiency particulate air filters, of the same sort that we use in operating theatres. And the standard that they work to is they have to be able to exclude 99.97% or better of viruses or bacteria. They usually do much better than that, in fact. So the air supply is very clean. That returns us then to the direct contact with other people, which really is the risk that you have to manage.
Well, that's reassuring to hear. And then I want to ask you, plane etiquette. What should you do if you think the person next to you is unwell on a plane?
The thing to do is to tell the cabin crew, bring your concerns to their attention, and of course you can do that subtly by just walking away and finding a crew member. I would add it's important to apply the same method before you board the flight, because if you see somebody in the departure gate lounge who's obviously unwell, then that's your opportunity to have the crew assess whether it's safe to have that person get on board the aircraft. But if somebody is found to be unwell on board, there are well-established procedures that the cabin crew follow to, first of all, achieve some distance between that person and other passengers. And they will typically ask that person to wear a mask, because this is the one situation where wearing masks is useful, is you give it to the sick person to stop them, to minimise their droplet spread. And they will also seek medical advice and call ahead to the destination, and often they'll give that person their own bathroom to use. So there's a number of procedures that were in place long before this outbreak.
Does it make a difference where you sit on a plane?
Well, if you could sit where there was nobody else, then that would be ideal, but most of us can't achieve that. So really, the answer is no. The risk comes if you are close to somebody who's unwell. And if you aren't, I think the risk is low wherever you are. And so I think you can relax. And indeed, I'm flying tonight long haul and am completely relaxed about that.
That's good. Well, it seems like we have to keep calm and carry on. So what is the number one rule for travelling at this time of an outbreak?
The main one is meticulous hand hygiene. Sanitize your hands, keep your hands away from your face, don't touch other people, cough into your sleeve or into a tissue, and don't travel anywhere if you are unwell yourself.
Well, Dr. David Power, medical advisor to the Iata, thank you so much for joining us today. Great advice.
Thanks very much.